Warning. Warning. You are about to enter the propaganda report with Brad Binkley.
That's right.
Warning. Warning. You are about to enter the propaganda report with Brad Binkley.
You have entered the propaganda report, and I am Brad Binkley, your host. It finally happened. The Fulton County election offices have been raided by the FBI, and they have seized over 700 boxes of the 2020 Fulton County ballots. Is this the breakthrough that voter integrity proponents have been working towards for the past 5 years, or will this somehow get railroaded by some procedural misdirect like all of the other efforts preventing the scrutiny that the 2020 election chaos demands? Joining me to help answer these questions, to help us tell fact from fiction, to help us understand the nuance among the sensationalism, is the nation's leading voter integrity expert, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Garland Favorito. Garland, how you doing, man?
Well, great, Binkley. I thought I didn't realize I've been promoted from just Georgia's leading election integrity advocate to the national.
I gave you a promotion.
Wow,
yes,
that's pretty good.
You're the most. You are the most detailed, and you understand that you're going to be called a conspiracy theorist, and they're going to exaggerate and try to lie about you. So you're so detailed in particular that I feel that has to be the nation's leading expert. And I like to remind everybody again, if there's any new listeners, I first met Garland like in 2018 or 2017 when he was a guest on WSB, and we were talking about the Karen Handel, John Ossoff election, and you were talking about how there was evidence that Ossoff might have won that election as opposed to Handel, who was the Republican, Ossoff the Democrat. So you are not a partisan player. You are just pursuing the facts and presenting them as best you can. So you've been working hard at this for a long time. You've talked about these ballots that nobody could find or we couldn't get access to for many years. Just for you, how does this feel that it looks like these ballots could finally be scrutinized and all of your hard work paying off?
It's a great relief to get these ballots out of the custody of Fulton County, where they're just not trustworthy. You know, they've told me that they destroyed them, but they've told other people that the courts that they have them, and it's been going. It's a great relief. This is the next milestone of a 5-year journey. Maybe I could I'll give you a little history for the audience. I know you know this already, Brad, but so this all started back in on November 14th of 2020 when the Fulton County conducted a hand count audit, and for the hand count audit, we found counterfeit ballots in the hand count audit. I was there. Susie Voiles and Barbara Hartman were two of the ones who found these, and we knew they were counterfeit. As you've talked about this many times on your show, because they were mail-in ballots. They were not folded from being mailed. They were not written with a pen or a pencil like they would have to have been. They looked like they were toner copied. They weren't on the correct paper stock, and they were voted the same way down ballot for dozens of in a row. So obvious counterfeit ballots.
Like they pulled them off a printer and just put them in there.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious actually. And, because I was there, witnessed it. And the elections officials, who at that time was Nadine Williams, who's now the director, they don't have any provision for what to do when counterfeit ballots are discovered. So they just said, "We'll keep on counting," and that's what we did. So we kept on counting, and there were stacks of Biden ballots on the table that were like 1,000 high, and then maybe 3 for Trump and that kind of thing. So
3.
Yeah, really, it wasn't much more than that. So we filed a case. Those senior poll managers, there were 6 of them, 2 audit monitors, filed the affidavits that Sunday night. They submitted them for the Linwood case. That case was thrown out by a judge who didn't want to really listen to the evidence.
Did Linwood taint that on purpose? Was he a taint agent? Or was he just
a what?
Taint agent? Was because sometimes you'll have these people make these claims that there's kernels of truth, but they're sensational and a little bit disconnected from the evidence that becomes the main focus, and thus the discrediting of that gets attached to all of the legit evidence and gets to tainting that evidence. So that's what we call them, taint agents. What was he a little bit of that, or was there legitimacy to some of the claims he was making?
Well, as you know, he's one of the best defamation lawyers in the country.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean you can handle a constitutional election case. But in fairness to Lynn, I think that the judge just really didn't, like all the other judges, or almost all of them, they don't want to really deal with the evidence. It's too much of a hot potato.
Right. Yeah.
And that. So I forgot where I was in the story. Oh, yeah.
I mean to interrupt. I just know people here in Linwood, they have the thoughts about him. So I just wanted to, and maybe some of the stuff's coming out now. It's going to, people are going to have to rethink their thoughts. But I did want to raise a question. Yeah, you were just telling about where it went from here, and you were talking about you were there, you saw the toner ballots, and that's when I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So then we filed the lawsuit when his case was thrown out by the judge who didn't really want to. I think it was more on the judge than on Lynn. But we filed our lawsuit December 23 of 2020 as an equal protection and due process violation, because if Fulton County had let counterfeit ballots in, that is a due process violation. And if those ballots could have diluted the votes of all the other voters, so it's an equal protection case.
So that is the damages that happen to the people that justify bringing the suit, correct?
Bingo. Exactly. And which you have to have, as you know, you have to have that.
Because that's what they say. They say you don't have damages, but you're explaining the damages right now.
Exactly. That is exactly what you have to have, that to have standing. So then we got a protective order. We went to court. Guess what day we went to court on? The first time, which was pretty rapidly. It was January 6th of 2021.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. And right in the middle of the hearing, Fulton County got scared. They had to stop our hearing and go home and reconvene at their homes because they were afraid they were going to be attacked. But the very next day, the judge put a protective order on the ballots. And that protective order, which was all the absentee ballots and about a dozen different types of electronic records, that has lasted till this day. It went up through the Georgia Supreme Court. You remember, after 10 months, the judge said we didn't have standing. We knew we did. We appealed that to the Georgia Supreme Court. They said, of course, you have standing to sue an agency official who violated the law. And they made that decision without a hearing and made it unanimously, except for one judge that had gotten promoted up, and he had to recuse himself because he ruled against us in the lower court and immediately got a promotion to the Supreme Court. So that's another story. But anyway, that's what happened. So that protective order has been in place. When the Supreme Court ruled in our favor, it activated that order again, reactivated it. The ballots have been preserved. And
even though they said they were destroyed, they have yet somehow still been preserved.
Well, that's what we think. That's what's interesting about this. This is this story goes on and on. But I've submitted. We worked for 4 years to get the law changed, and we got the law changed to make ballots open records. And then they told us that they didn't have the ballots. I submitted an open records request to both the clerk and the elections director, and they said there's no responsive records. So we don't have the ballots. Meanwhile, they've been telling the Fulton County, all the judges and everybody else, state election board, that they preserved the ballots. So you've got all these people wanting the ballots. You've got 3 civil cases, myself, Caroline Jeffords, and I've got an open records request. You've got the Harrison Floyd criminal trial warning them State Election Board subpoenaed them, and now you've got the Department of Justice, both criminal and civil divisions, all wanting to see the ballots from the 2020 election.
And they didn't want to show them.
And they didn't want to show them. And then they went to court. I'd forgotten this part. On June the 24, they went to court asking to destroy the ballots. The clerk literally went into court wanting to destroy the ballots. SEIF just put this out today. It's priceless. And they said they didn't have the room. And this was just after they had bought the new 600,000 square foot warehouse that was sitting empty. But they told the court with a straight face they didn't have room for the ballots.
Yeah, it's been a constant railroading of your efforts. They try to find one way or another not to reveal the ballots, and then Trump gets back in office, seems to make this a priority, obviously, and the FBI raid happens. Were you on the ground? Like, did you have foreknowledge that was going to happen?
I did not have foreknowledge, but we were on the ground. We raced over there, although we weren't as fast as some other folks. Got a couple of great shots. I'll try to get them to you before the show is over.
Oh, for sure. I'd love to see them.
And we got a couple of really, really good pictures.
Action Show Studios on Instagram corrected me, said you're the world's leading expert in election integrity. I would agree with that. I don't know anybody who could challenge you in that. So the left is going to call this baseless and creeping authoritarianism. Another example, that's going to be the obvious response, and it is already. Do you have any knowledge of, I mean, you do because of the work you've done, of the probable cause that justifies it? Because the claim is going to be that there is none.
The probable cause that justified the raid?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. They have a wealth of information, and that I would imagine they presented to the judge, but they have a very, they haven't just been sitting on their hands since Trump was elected. I think they have a wealth of information that justified a probable cause, because you do have to have probable cause. And from all of our shows that just enough what we've talked about is enough probable cause. Any of the just to give you one example, Brad, the State Election Board and the case SEB 2023-025, all the evidence that has come out in that case, all the missing records. I testified at the State Election Board just this month that they were missing over 1 million electronic records. We know that the records show that they have backfilled 16 or 17,000 votes at a minimum into the results to make them add up. So there was a ton of probable cause, failure to do signature verification. The logic and accuracy testing wasn't, was conducted after the election started. There's all
300,000 votes where they discovered the failure that we talked about last time. Yeah.
Missing tabulator tapes for over 315,000 votes, missing or unsigned. I mean, the list goes on and on. All of those would have been, could have been used, I think, for probable cause. I have no idea what they actually used, but there certainly could have made a case that's beyond reproach.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to see the document yet. I don't know if it's released yet. Hopefully, because that's the narrative until it is going to be, oh, yeah, it's baseless, and they're just Trump's just going after his old pursuits and his political enemies. It really makes you rethink the quote insurrection on January 6th that you mentioned as well. If what we discover, what do you expect is going to be discovered? Because I know you're about the process. You want to see it. You want to do an audit of it. But do you have expectations of what will be found?
Yeah, I do. I know that what they're going to find is that Fulton County certified votes for which they have no ballots, and that number is going to be in the tens of thousands. So that's my prediction. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I say that's crazy. And I wonder what the next step is after discovering that.
Well, I think there are going to be indictments. This was a criminal investigation.
Absolutely.
So I think there'll be indictments coming. And I did send you a couple of pictures. There's a great overview shot of and I should have sent these to you ahead of time, but I've been running ragged. I've been running ragged the last
I'm sure you're getting so many requests, and I'm very grateful that you come on the show.
You know how much I love
Steve Bannon's show yesterday, right?
Yeah, Ben has been just really high on us for about the last few weeks since we've been finally breaking through. So, but you're one of my favorite guys, so I'm always got time.
I appreciate it, man. I love getting to talk to you, and we've been talking about this. You've been coming on the show for years now, and I saw you retweet a comment somebody made about the Big Con Inc. guys who were kind of saying that there was nothing there, are probably going to all be jumping on board now once the evidence is coming out. And the reality is you and a few others have been on top of this since the very beginning. I mean, really, despite the attacks that you get, it's a noble effort. Okay, here's a photo. Tell us what we're looking at here.
Well, that's the FBI. I think that's the FBI mobile unit there set up on the Fulton County warehouse. This is a 600,000 square foot warehouse, and that's Jason Frazier. He has been really a stalwart at cleaning the voter rolls, and as we can see that this was an actual crime scene. This is not a civil matter. This is a matter of criminal implication.
That's crazy. Yeah, so that's good, because I know last time we talked about what you do about it, and the concern was that it was going to be on the Fulton County taxpayer dollars' shoulders if they had a problem. Maybe it still will, but the fact that criminal allegations are being made, if this is proven true and it does need to have its day in court, then there needs to be indictments and trial and then arrest if found guilty, because it's starting to seem like nobody ever is pursued and caught, despite what politicians on either side said. And it's nice to finally see some people being brought in my opinion. And here's another photo. That's a huge warehouse. Holy cow.
Yeah. When you say it's a 600,000 square feet, you don't know. You just really don't understand that. But so Brad, that is just one side. So imagine this is basically a square.
Yeah.
So imagine as you turn the corner all the way down at that far end where you can barely see that goes equal distance down the right side of that. So it's really, really long. You can't see all the cars that are back in the back there, but media is there. They're lined up. You've got the mobile unit. There's a FBI crime lab, a little van there, kind of in the middle, off to the right, just a tad. And then they were backing up a couple of trucks and loading up all the 2020 election matter.
You probably didn't get to look in there, did you?
No, the crime scene was blocked off with yellow tape all the way around. You can see the yellow tape where the people are standing. And then that yellow tape came all the way down to about most of the way to the parking lot. And I think you can see where the other people are standing. That whole area was blocked off as a crime scene.
That's extraordinary. I wonder what all was in that warehouse.
Well,
the 700 boxes, but
the clerk has an office. They have a warehouse. The county elections has a section of the warehouse. There's a reception area and a meeting room where they have the election board meetings, that sort of thing.
Are we going to see similar actions in other states?
That's a really good question. I'm expecting something to break in Colorado. Okay. I think that this whole thing about imprisoning Tina Peters has been insane. She has been in prison for over a year. I think
9-year sentence, right?
15 months.
Holy cow.
Never has no criminal record whatsoever, not a parking ticket. Her case was on appeal, and she was convicted of victimless crimes, nonviolent crimes of all related to observing a Dominion voting system upgrade. So something's got to have to break there pretty soon. I think that that is another epicenter of election corruption in the country. And so I would expect that one to drop next.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, and we need to get her out of prison for sure. A question on a lot of people's minds. It's obviously been discussed in the media, and we talked about it a little bit last time you were on the show. It's related to this anyway. Is what was Tulsi doing other than looking pretty cute? What was Tulsi doing there? Does it have to do with Venezuela and Maduro?
Yeah. Well, she was all bundled up in a hat and a down jacket, so it's hard to even recognize her. But that is a really good question, Brad, and I don't know the answer. It's obviously she would have been there if there was certain foreign influence or connections. However, I don't know. Again, you could say that this is a national intelligence issue because what happened in Georgia was probably repeated in other battleground states. I don't know, but right after this show, she is going to be addressing the National Secretary of State's conference, and we might find out because that'll be at 3:00 on C-SPAN.
Oh wow!
So we'll be able to hear what she's got to say, and I'm excited, and I'm going to be looking forward to trying to listen to that.
I'm going to listen to that as well, and she should come out in the same Nike Maduro tracksuit that he was arrested in. Those sold out immediately. $150. People buy. It's like a Nike ad for those things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
tell me about that.
The photo of him, he's wearing that all gray suit. That's a Nike tracksuit that cost $150. And shortly after that went public, it sold out.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
But who was wearing it?
Maduro was when he was on the
Maduro. Oh, yes.
Yeah, he had that. He was, which I'm like, who sleeps in a $150 Nike tracksuit? I guess the president of Venezuela. I mean, I want to get one now that I can't get one. And some people, I'm starting to think that maybe there's something to this, especially after one of the security guards came out and was like, they had super weapons that made our ears bleed and nobody should mess with America. And it was a very kind of propagated type of message that makes me wonder if there was a deal made, get me, my wife, my family out, and my guard will say, you guys are super powerful, don't mess with you, and maybe we'll give you some information related to this. This is all speculation, obviously, but it's a curious thing going on. Free Tina says no muzzle. Totally free Tina. And the Dominion voting machines, a Smartmatic, that's what would be connected to Venezuela, correct?
Exactly. So we know that Dominion acquired the Sequoia from Smartmatic. Smartmatic took over Sequoia in 2005. Many believe they installed their Venezuelan software in 2005 or shortly thereafter. And then Dominion bought the intellectual property for all of that in 2010.
And all of this is not going to look good for Brad Raffensperger if it does reveal some wrongdoing, especially after you warned him of the problems with these Dominion voting machines before he implemented them as the Georgia Secretary of State.
And before he even became Secretary of State, as a matter of fact. We met with him while he was still running for Secretary of State in a runoff and explained to him, don't buy a QR-coded voting system. The vendors have other systems that you could buy that are more trustworthy. But he didn't
use those anyway. Yeah. He's a shill, in my opinion, and he's running for governor as a Republican. I don't imagine him doing very well in it. Is this going to impact the 2026 midterms?
Good question. Raffensperger, by the way, the Republican Party has a platform that they have banned him from running as a Republican, and the question is whether they're going to enforce that ban. But I don't. He's going to have a hard time running.
Yeah, I would think so, because he's not really much of a Republican. There's a comment here. See if you have any information about this. JSP says there's also the admittance of Eric Coomer in the Brimey case. I can't really tell what that says.
That's Patrick Burns' case.
Okay. Admitting 4 employees and access. What do you know about that?
Great point. Boy, that's a very informed individual there. The Patrick, Eric Coomer was basically, in a nutshell, was forced to admit that he had a lot of contact with the Serbians and foreign election-related workers in a deposition that he just took recently in the Patrick Byrne case, where I believe he was suing Patrick Byrne, and Patrick has flipped the tables on him, and he's also flipped the tables on Dominion. So that is really, really interesting. Coomer, by the way, was the vice president of systems and strategy for Dominion, and he holds the patents on the adjudication process, which is the most vulnerable area of the system, or at least one of the most vulnerable areas of the system.
Very interesting stuff. People are going to miss a lot of this because of the sensational headlines and responses. I do have a couple more questions, but I want to show you. Have you seen how John Ossoff and Stacey Abrams in Georgia have reacted to?
I have not. I'd love to see that.
We'll start with John Ossoff. Great guy, tries to sound like Obama. He's like, I'm running in Decatur. Maybe I can talk a little black, and they'll vote for me. That's me saying that. I just don't like the way politicians are. They are also phony with their code switching and all of it. And John Ossoff is I'm not a fan. I'm thinking about running against him for the Senate as a Democrat, even though I'm not. Would you support me in that, Garland, if I just tried to challenge him in the primary?
Of course, I'd support you in anything.
It'd be fun to kind of mess with him. But here he is on Instagram doing what they do.
It's an FBI raid on the Fulton County Elections Office. His conspiracy theories about the 2020 election have been based in Georgia from the very start. Georgia is where he called the Secretary of State and said, find me the votes that he needed to win in a state he had lost. So much of the big lie that led to the January 6th sacking of the United States Capitol, that had a mob seeking the Speaker of the House and the Vice President to lynch them, originated in his lies about the state of Georgia. And here he has the FBI, which there are so many hardworking, diligent public servants in FBI field offices all across the country, but its headquarters now in the thrall of these political appointees, Kash Patel and Bongino and this guy from Missouri in the deputy role, who are partisan political actors, raiding this election office in Georgia, seizing all of this information, all of these records, taking it who knows where, chain of custody now broken. And here's the thing. This is a shot across the bow at the midterm elections. He tried to steal power when he lost it in 2020. We have to be prepared for all kinds of schemes and shenanigans. We have to be prepared for him to try to deprive people of their voting rights. In Georgia, where we have the most competitive United States Senate race in the country, and I'm asking people to help me defend this election and voting rights in Georgia, to log on to electjon.com, electjon.com, and contribute to help us fight the good fight and make sure that the people can speak. This isn't.
So I love the way he ended that video, because the first comment, I don't know if you can see here, it says, John, we need more actions than just donating to your campaign. This is a person who's like truly buying into his rhetoric. And hey John, love you, man, but you got to give us some more actionable things to do right now. That doesn't include donating to your campaign. We might not make it to the midterms at the rate we're going right now.
That's funny.
Yeah. So what's your initial reaction to that? He had all the points: the big lie, the sacking of the Capitol, the find me 11, the intentional misinterpretation of what I thought was a pretty obvious context to Trump's phone call.
Right. And of course, the obvious misinterpretation of the January 6th. Mm-hmm. Nobody was wanting to lynch anybody. So, I mean, just crazy stuff. But here's the most fundamental question I think you could ask about elections. Don't the people of the state of Georgia or any other state have a right to see the ballots? Yes or no? And didn't Fulton County cover them up for 5 or 6 years? How can you conduct a transparent election if no one can see the ballots? And you want to advocate secretly counted elections on secret proprietary software and then secretly preserve the ballots so that you can say who won and no one can ever prove it. That is not my definition of America, and it's not my definition or anybody else's definition of what America should be in regards to elections.
Heck yeah. I mean, that's a perfect way to put it. And that's why he uses all that rhetoric, so he can direct people away from that simple question that needs to be asked and strike fear into their hearts, just like Stacey Abrams does, she wrote this thing on Substack, which was titled, "The FBI Raid at Fulton County Should Alarm Us All." And that she focuses on minorities and how this is going. It's always like that with her. It's going to take away their the right to vote, and how it's going to intimidate them, and just it's all everything except what you just said. Because if people focused on what you just said, they would see what you've been trying to tell everyone through evidence for many, many years. And that makes me wonder. We know what they're going to say. They're going to say these things in response. The narrative's already set. What can the FBI do to conduct this in a way that is transparent enough that messaging that they're going to put out there, it'll be a hard sell?
Well, the first thing is he raised the issue of chain of custody. Now, the FBI handles criminal investigations every day. So if anyone knows how to establish chain of custody for a criminal investigation, it's the FBI. That's crazy stuff. So basically, I would assume that the FBI will provide that chain of custody. We'll ask for a electronic copy of the ballots. We're going to ask for a 600 DPI 16-bit color copy of the ballots, and with that level of resolution, you can detect most anything in terms of counterfeit ballots. So we'll just have to wait and see. But those are a couple things that they could do right offhand to make sure that everything is provably on the up and up.
Fantastic. And they can look to your work to find much of that transparency and call greater attention to it. Are there any curveballs that you anticipate that could enable them to potentially railroad this, like the other efforts that you've made, where it would look like you were going to get access to these ballots through the courts, and then for whatever reason, procedural, they would toss it out? Is there any chance that could happen?
Well, they could do that to us, but they can't do it to the FBI and the Department of Justice. So I think that they're in a whole nother ball game now, and that's why they're panicking so much. They can't put us below the sole of their shoe and squash. They can squash us, but they can't squash the FBI and the Department of Justice. So they can't suppress it anymore. So, and that's why they're panicking right now.
It would be crazy if they do provide this evidence and they show that the election in 2020 went the other way. What would that mean? Like for Biden's term and just moving forward, like what would the impact of that be?
Well, first of all, there's only one state. Georgia's only one state. There would have need to have at least 3-state difference.
Yeah.
To change the presidential outcome. And there were 5 states in question: Arizona, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, all of which President Trump said that he was cheated out of, and all of which he turned around and won for the third time in 2024. So that pretty much proved that he was telling the truth, because if you won him in 16 and then he won him again in 24 and he didn't win him in 20, you could probably pretty much bet he was cheated out of him. Nothing really, I don't think, will come of it. Biden's term is over. But also this mattered because it was a U.S. Senate race, in addition, that was determined by potentially is counterfeit ballots.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
that's why he's upset.
Yeah, who did he run against again?
David Perdue.
David Perdue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll remember that for my upcoming campaign for Democrat senator.
Yeah, and the evidence showed that Purdue had won that without a runoff as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Until, and in fact, on election day, he had already won.
Very intriguing stuff. What's the most important question or piece of information that people aren't talking about or asking?
Wow, that's a really good question. You got me. I think you stumped me on that one.
Well, I don't mean to stump you. Just throw it at you.
You know, they're so bought into this these narratives. I think it might be, why shouldn't ballots be public record? I think that might be the key question. You know, everybody should be asking that. Why did Fulton County sit on the ballots for 5 years and spend probably $20 million and really more trying to protect these ballots and hide them from the people?
Put it on a T-shirt, Garland. I'd buy it from Voter GA. Why shouldn't the ballots be public record? I don't think people would have an answer for that. I don't think they've ever thought about that question whatsoever. We got a couple more minutes with you. You had a video you posted that is a fun little thank you for finally rewarding everyone for all their hard work. You and everybody at Voter GA and other people around the state and country who have been fighting for this for a while. Make that a little bigger.
We worked so hard for almost 6 years for our legal right to these election records. Thank you, DOJ and FBI, for seizing Georgia election records, so we will have truth. Hopefully, you will return to Georgia and pick up a few more truckloads.
Let's go ahead.
Proprietary systems just don't provide election security, and we cannot keep allowing foreign interference in our elections. Again, thank you, DOJ and FBI. We need honest elections before the 2026 primary.
That's fantastic there. Go ahead and wheel Stacey Abrams and Fannie Willis in the back of that truck as well. Take them there with the corruption that they've laid. That's my claim, but don't attribute that to anybody else. But I would like to see them looked into as well, because maybe the days of Fulton County being Gotham City are finally going to be over. Let's hope so. Garland, what's next for you guys? What can people do to help? Any events that are upcoming that you'd like to tell everyone about?
Well, the legislative session is cranking up. We're trying to remove the voting systems. We've got a good bill, Senate Bill 303, that was sponsored by Colton Moore originally, but also Greg Dolezal and Steve Gooch, former majority leader, are on that bill. So that's we're kind of focusing on that. We have basically we have an EAC lawsuit, a federal lawsuit to vacate the Dominion certification. It was never legitimately certified because it stores passwords or stores encryption keys in clear plain text, and it uses a hard-coded password, all of which violate standards that go back to 1985, standards under which they were allegedly certified. So that's another big ongoing effort that we have.
The password, people put that on a T-shirt, right? With that.
That's right. That's the amendment. That's the sorry, I've gotten tongue-tied. The admin password to get into one of the admin passwords to get into the Dominion system.
Yeah. For those who hadn't heard that, it was at a Georgia Elections Board meeting, right, where people had printed T-shirts that had the Dominion password that had never been changed. That it was used to hack in through the court example. Is that what it was?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it was Clay Parikh when he did his hack. I think used that password. It was a 3-minute hack. He changed the presidential votes and with 6 lines of code, and he did it on an authenticated copy of the Georgia County server, a Georgia County server.
That's so crazy that somebody did that and they still were like, no, sorry, not enough.
Yeah. And the other thing we can do to help out, Brett, is right now, we do have, we're still taking donations. We're an all volunteer organization. And one of our donors in Georgia has offered a triple match. So anybody, for every dollar, they're going to put in $3 because they really like what we do. So it's a great time to donate. It is a tax-deductible donation. And you can even pick a piece of apparel out off of our website for your donation. I'm wearing like the Make Elections Great Again t-shirt, dress shirt here today in blue. Yep. So
Nice.
that's all in honor of Trump's executive order 14248 that he did on March 25th of 2025. That's when he ordered the EAC to decertify the Dominion, or not specifically Dominion, but all QR coded voting systems, which are unverifiable to the voter.
Yeah. VoterGA.org. You can see the resources. You can see the evidence that Garland provides, and everybody at VoterGA. You can see the upcoming events. You can get these products, and you can support Garland because unlike these politicians with their slick websites and their huge fundraising dollars and their increasing bottom line, Garland does it for the love of the game, and he's putting money to the effort. And these are the people, in my opinion, we need to be supporting, the ones who are committed to the pursuit of truth, regardless of which way it falls. And Garland, thank you again for being on the show. I always enjoy talking with you, and you always enlighten me. And I am curious, did you get a chance to read through that article that the AJC wrote about you, which we anticipated a hit article coming for you? And I thought it was funny that like a couple days later, there it was.
I told you it was coming, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, on the last show. Yeah, it was very, it was rather human. It actually could have been worse than it was. It said that I was the most influential conspiracy theorist in Georgia. But
hey, that's a compliment right there.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta thank them for, they said they show us the ballots, and VoterGA put it right out there. So I guess I can't complain too much, but there were 3 things that they left out of the article. I'll try to remember what they were, but one of them is that we're all volunteers. We don't take money. They explicitly left that out. They left out the fact that we had won our case in the Georgia Supreme Court. And they left out the fact that I am, a qualified expert witness. I've testified as an expert in cases both inside and outside of Georgia. So they intentionally left all that out.
Yeah, that's what AJC tends to do, is they leave out facts, even though they call themselves a newspaper. And not like the first sentence here. Garland Favorito has said the U.S. government covered up the truth about the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., as though that's like a statement that's going to be like, oh my gosh, what a shocking thing to believe.
I know, it's like 70% of America believes that. So
totally.
why would that be normal? I can see all the readers now saying, yeah. Hey, I think this guy might be onto something.
So maybe that's maybe they don't realize they helped it out. So y'all stay safe in the snow tomorrow. That's a good title, in my opinion, says Tony. Tony also says, I was talking about Garland the other day. He's awesome. You get nothing but love on the show. Everybody loves you. I think you're probably the favorite guest that we have on here. So thanks again, Garland. VoterGA.org. Check it out. Garland, going to be a wild week for you, I'm sure. Stay warm and have fun.
Thank you, Brad. And next time I hear you've got a new studio, we'll come down and do it in the studio.
Totally. Let's do it here live next time. It'll be fun.
That'd be great. Okay.
All right. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. See you later, Garland.
Bye-bye.